Welcome to the pivotal moment that could transform your career path. You've navigated the challenging questions, you've articulated your vision, and you've showcased your passion for educational leadership. But as the interview comes to a close, there is a golden opportunity to leave a lasting impression that sets you apart. I'm here to guide you through 3 powerful strategies to close your assistant principal interview with impact. Whether it's through the wisdom of a pithy quote, the connection of a personal story, or demonstrating insider knowledge about the school district, you're about to learn how to seal the deal with finesse. So grab a pen, a piece of paper, get ready to take some notes because we're starting right now. Hey everybody, Gordon Aberson here, Superintendent of Schools and Clifton Certified Strengths Coach. And on this channel, we leverage my experience from classroom teacher all the way to school district superintendent to help you go further faster in your educational leadership and build a strengths-based life. If this is your first time with us, don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well as the bell notification so you don't miss any cool updates or any of our newest episodes or content. So let's get real, let's get honest for just a moment. Interviewing for any job is difficult. But when you are going to be a school site administrator, an educational leader, the pressure is immense. So I want to help you. I'm going to give you and arm you with some tools and some resources and some ways to think about, hey, I've already navigated the beginning of the interview. I've already gotten through the challenging questions and kind of the back and forth that happens within a leadership interview to make sure that I'm wowing the leadership team. I'm wowing the interview panel. But how do I close? Like, how do I leave them with an impression of me once I've walked out of the room and they're starting to deliberate around who do they see as the person to come in and be the next assistant principal of this school? Who do I want to be in the eyes of that principal as they are making their final decision around who they want to recommend to the superintendent, to the Board of Education, to lead, to be their second in charge? So I'm going to give you 3 strategies to think about and to utilize. And one of the tricks will be to think about which one of these is best to deploy at the end of an interview based on everything you know about that particular job. So let's jump in to strategy number 1. Okay, strategy number 1. Think about closing your assistant principal interview with a pithy quote, something that's going to make the panel pause, think, reflect. And then if you are strategic and really able to navigate how to tie that quote to who you are as a leader, who you are and who you aspire to be as you serve that community, as you serve that school, as you serve that school district, a pithy quote from a historian, a former politician, somebody of gravitas, somebody whose words you can connect with, and then you hopefully can ask the panel to connect with. I've used quotes before from Martin Luther King Jr. I've used quotes from famous coaches like John Wooden, different people that I have connected with words that they've utilized that then I've been able to tie back to my leadership, been able to tie back to the things that I vision and the things that I see doing or being or aspirationally becoming. So using a pithy quote is for the express purpose to have the panel think about you differently than every other person who comes through that interview process. Because your pithy quote likely will be very different, it'll be very unique, and it'll be very specialized to you as a human being and as an individual. And in a lot of ways, you want to find ways to differentiate yourself versus the people that you're competing with. So if it makes sense, think about using a pithy quote to close your interview with impact. Now, let's talk about strategy number 2. So think about closing your assistant principal interview with a personal story. When does a personal story make sense? That will be for you to decide, but let me just talk about the power of a personal story. We as leaders, we will be leading other human beings in the way that we connect with each other, the way that we build relationships with each other, the way that we develop trust and bonds is through shared lived experiences. So I've used personal stories at the end of interviews all the way up through the ranks of assistant superintendent and superintendent to share who I was as a human being, to share what my values were, to share who I became over time. personal stories around where I lived, where I grew up, the struggles, the challenges, and the hardships that I faced, and trying to then tie that and reflect that back to the lived experiences of the students in the school, of the students in the district, of the community members, connecting with that, being human, being vulnerable. I know that sometimes as educational leaders, we have to be strong. We have to be confident. We have to exude, power and gravitas. But at the end of the day, we're still human beings. And at the end of the day, what I want to see as a superintendent, I want to see leaders who will be vulnerable. I want to see leaders who can connect on a personal human level. And one of the fastest way to do that is to share a personal story. Something that was so important to you that it's a story that you've got right here, and then you want to share with other people to connect the dots as to who you are as a human being and who you are as an individual. So think long and hard about, can you weave in a personal story to, again, when you leave the room and the panel is just left with your paper, are they left with your paper, or are they left with your paper and a personal narrative story that pulls at their heartstrings, that pulls at their ethical core, and that makes them think, this is exactly the type of person that we want for our school. This is exactly the type of person that we want to lead our scholars and lead our staff. Personal story, very, very, very powerful strategy. Now, let's talk about strategy number 3. Hey, as we move into strategy number 3, hey, don't forget, if you're enjoying this video and you're enjoying the content, don't forget to hit smash that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We want to continue to get this information out to as many people as possible. So also in the comments below, let me know which of the first 2 strategies that we shared with you resonate most with you. Is it that pithy quote, leaving something for them to think about, or is that personal story that's going to have people emote and think and maybe reflect on who you are as an individual? Drop that in the comments below, and let's go ahead and talk about strategy number 3. So strategy number 3 is utilize insider knowledge to connect with the panel or the principal. So what does that mean? What does that look, feel, and sound like? Well, using insider knowledge is, hey, have you done some due diligence? Have you done enough research? Have you looked at the school site plan? Have you looked at the district's strategic plan? Have you looked at the school site on social media to see, like, what do they care about? What are they really, really, really focused? What are they putting time and energy and resource into doing? Are they focused on a certain educational instructional initiative? Are they committed to a certain social initiative? Are they doing lots of community-based works? Are they building pathways and networks with partners, external or internal? What do they value, and what can you find to then use that as, I've done some due diligence, I've done some research, I have this insider knowledge, I've turned over all the stones to figure out who you are and what you believe in, and I believe the same thing, and I want to share those insights with you. Using that insider knowledge is a great way to connect in the moment, in real time, with things you know will likely resonate with the with the interview panel. So thinking about how to use that insider knowledge, thinking about places, sources of information, the district's website, the school site's website, social media, driving around the local community to see if you can see any imprints of what schools in that area are doing and what they're committed to. Sometimes just driving by the school, you'll see banners and you'll see different things that they're celebrating. These are great insights and great things that you could utilize to connect with the panel. Because again, all 3 of these strategies is really about, when you leave and when the panel is no longer in front of you, and when you don't have any more time to try to connect with them, have you given them something that, even though you're not in the room, when they're scrolling through or they're flipping through those documents and they're going back through your resume, your cover letter, your letters of recommendation, and more importantly, your interview notes, are they scrolling down through your interview notes and they're looking at that final part, that final space on the interview response page, not on any of those scripted questions that they asked you, but rather when you had a concluding comment, a question, or something that you wanted to share with the panel? What did they write there? And did what they write there resonate with them, where they go, ah, and they circled it, or they put a star on it, or somehow now that becomes another part of the conversation where they say, you know what? When Gordon was in here, he quoted John Wooden, and he talked about John Wooden's commitment to teamwork and collaboration and pushing and competition. Like, I really like his insights. You want those types of conversations happening, because the questions all around, did you answer the instructional questions? Did you answer how to de-escalate tension or issues amongst staff members, and what's your discipline policy, and how do you effectively communicate and work with parents? All of those questions are going to be answered. They're all going to be talked about, and all of the candidates are going to be sharing that. But somehow, does your response at the end of the interview stand out and push you just 2 or 3 steps ahead of everybody else? That's what we're hoping to get out of these 3 strategies. So again, strategy, pithy quote, emotional personal story, using insider knowledge. These are all critically important strategies that can separate you and put you on a completely different space, ranking, order. Whether they're ready to move forward with you right away can be determined by your response to that very, very final question. Don't give up that runway. That runway at the end of the interview is critical. Utilize that. Far, far too many people let that moment go by without being able to seize on that opportunity. So don't make that same mistake. And while you're thinking about that, check out this next video, because this next video is going to be all about helping you navigate the assistant principal interview by using a specific framework for those questions that you're going to get all throughout the middle of the video. The things about instruction, the things about discipline, the things about parent engagement and parent commitments and communication, all that. Use our STAR method. Check out this next video and it's going to help you. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks.